Let's discuss with NBC News national law enforcement correspondent Tom Winter, MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin, and Eric Fudali, a managing attorney at the Bloom firm who has represented some Epstein survivors. Lisa, let's start with this meeting that we're learning of that's expected to happen with the vice president involving all these other players at the Justice Department. How unusual of a meeting is this? And especially if they're talking strategy with the White House related to a DOJ case.
Well, I think that's the part of it that's unusual. The compilation of people in and of itself is not unusual, but the subject matter of their meeting, and specifically the fact that they might be discussing whether or not to disclose audio recordings and or a transcription of an interview that the Deputy Attorney General, also a former personal criminal defense attorney to the president, conducted of a convicted felon sentenced to 20 years. That is what's unusual about this whole thing. And I just want to take a step back on it if I can. The interview itself is highly, highly irregular and atypical. But to have a recording of that interview is even more atypical. There's a reason that prosecutors don't traditionally tape interviews. That's because, for example, if Tom is a cooperating witness and I'm a defendant and Tom is going to testify against me at trial, before the trial, the government would have to turn over to me all of Tom's prior statements. If you have a verbatim recording of that rather than simply some notes, that would mean I would be entitled to that recording and or a transcription. Traditionally, the government wants to avoid that. And yet, in this instance, that's exactly what they appear to have created.
And so, Tom, what more do we know about the possibility of releasing some or all of this interview?
So yesterday morning, NBC News requested via FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, a copy of that audio recording and that transcript. We'll see if we ever see it that way. That process is typically, I'm smirking because most people that know FOIA know that the chances of us getting it in a timely fashion through FOIA are effectively zilch.
Yeah, but if the deputy AG decides just to release it, he could do that, right? And that's apparently what they're contemplating.
He certainly could do that. And I think it goes back to a question that we raised on this program a week ago, which is the ability of this defendant, Ghislaine Maxwell, to tell the truth. She was charged with perjury. She's somebody who has been repeatedly, according to federal prosecutors, civil attorneys, has lied in the course of her depositions, lied in the course of her statements. According to the judge that sentenced her, did not accept responsibility, for her crimes. And so is this going to turn into a hour, 2 hour, 8 hour, 9 hour effective speech for her to be able to speak unchallenged as to the facts of her case and what her involvement actually was? And if that goes out there, what does that do? And certainly, by the way, what does that do to the victims? I mean, they're going to hear her be unchallenged. She did not testify in her defense when she was before the criminal courts. And of course, she doesn't have to. But this is somebody who has definitely a demonstrated lack of candor in the past. And so what does it do for the victims if she's just allowed to say whatever she wants and raise whatever things she wants to about the victims when she, in fact, is convicted of a crime, including sexual. It's not just sexually trafficking. It's not just going out and finding girls for Jeffrey Epstein. She was an active participant in some of the sexual abuse that occurred on the girls, according to the jury that convicted her.
And so, Eric, obviously, we mentioned you have represented some of these victims, these survivors. Your thoughts, and what are they thinking about the possibility of this transcript being revealed?
I think it's similar to what Tom said. You know, it's really sort of a travesty of justice, what's happening here. And I'm glad finally the victims were mentioned, because that's what's been missing through all of this. This meeting that's happening with Trump and his team, why isn't there a representative of the victim there to talk about what the victims want and what the victims desire? You know, like he said, this is just a platform for Ghislaine Maxwell to put this out there. I think people forget that Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of child sex trafficking. What she actually did, the allegations that she was found guilty of, was tricking 14-year-old girls to bring them into Jeffrey Epstein's orbit to be raped and sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein. She did that knowingly and then at times even participated in the sexual assault. She does not deserve a platform. She deserves to sit behind bars for the entirety of her sentence in a more maximum security prison, not some, Club Fed, as they say, where she was transferred to now, which is another absolute travesty of injustice.
What do you make of this meeting that's been reported is going to happen at the vice president's residence or with the vice president and all these members of the DOJ related to the Epstein files.
I go back to the lack of someone representing the victims in that meeting. The victims continue to be neglected. They continue to be ignored. They continue to be exploited by both sides of the aisle. They certainly continue to be exploited by this administration.
Is there a conflict of interest also with the independence of the DOJ?
Absolutely, there's a conflict of interest. The Department of Justice is supposed to be independent. I certainly would like to hear the transcript to see how much the Department of Justice actually challenged Ghislaine Maxwell. But this strategy of how to handle the Epstein files, there's no strategy necessary. Release the files. Let these victims get the closure they deserve.
Guys, let's listen to the president's response when he was asked about the potential of releasing the Maxwell interview and her transfer to a cushier prison camp.
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is
It's not a very uncommon thing. Whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people. Anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally above board.
Lisa, he says this DOJ interview, not unusual. This transfer to the prison camp, not unusual. Fact check that for us.
Yeah, everything about this is unusual, from the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was interviewed by a political appointee in a courthouse while she is serving a 20-year sentence, to the fact that, as we mentioned previously, it was recorded, audio recordings and a transcription. With respect to where she is now at this federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas, to the extent that somebody has what's called a sex offense public safety factor on their record, they are not supposed to be eligible to be in any low security facility. Minimum security facility. The facility that she was in before is a low security facility. That is the sort of least level that anybody with that sex offense characteristic can be in. Now, it can be waived by a high-ranking official at the Bureau of Prisons, and MSNBC has reported on this. We have asked the Bureau of Prisons and the Department of Justice, explain to us how Ghislaine Maxwell got this waiver. We have been referred in very general senses to the program statement that I just basically quoted back to you, the same one that says if you have a public safety factor of having been a sex offender, you are not eligible to be in a prison camp absent a waiver. There are lots of open questions about why Ghislaine Maxwell is there. And to the extent that the explanation is for her own safety, I will just note this. A prison camp is a camp without a perimeter that we traditionally associate with a prison, right? It doesn't have fences or walls. You can get so close, as one paparazzo did, to take pictures of Elizabeth Holmes, who was also there working out with weights. If one random person with a camera can get that close to Elizabeth Holmes and Ghislaine Maxwell is apparently in danger, what does it say about the fact that they've chosen to put her there as opposed to in a low-security prison?
There's no razor wire around the fence where they work out. It's just the same type of fence that somebody might have in the backyard of their house. There's two of the four sides of the prison have a chain link fence with razor wire, and that's it. And by the way, there's no gate. It's just it's like a country club gate to be able to get into the facility. So it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Well, and you're hearing from Bureau of Prison officials now telling NBC News that this is shocking. They're expressing outrage. One saying on Facebook, since when are sex offenders allowed at the camp? I don't care who she snitched on. She's a damn human trafficker. One retired federal prison official telling NBC News in his 27 years on the job, he doesn't recall an instance in which a sex offender was moved to a prison camp. Eric, do you see this prison transfer a little bit like the 2008 sweetheart deal Epstein received in this non-prosecution agreement?
Absolutely, I do. And this has been consistent.
I should say non-cooperation agreement.
Yeah, absolutely, I do. And this has been consistent in how the victims have been treated, even since the 90s when we had sort of this sham FBI investigation. Of course, the 2008 nonsense plea deal that allowed Epstein to continue to abuse women, even after, a plea deal, which is just so profoundly, such a profound travesty. But yeah, absolutely. This is a slap in the face to the victims. Remember, everyone in the world in Epstein's orbit has avoided accountability, except for Ghislaine Maxwell. She is the one person who has finally been convicted, where there has finally been some semblance of justice. And now it is an absolute slap in the face. And I would even go so far to say a re-victimization of the victims, for them to have to see that the person who sexually trafficked them to Jeffrey Epstein, the most prolific predator of our time, is now getting special treatment. There's just no fathomable reason that that should take place, no matter what sort of information she's giving. She should be behind bars in a maximum security prison where child sex traffickers belong.